What album should I start with? Here's my answer. Martin Popoff here for the Contrarians, back again with another solo show. So this is something I get asked all the time, and I just wanted to rant about it for a second. I often get asked, what album should I start with? I want to get into X band. Which record is a good one to kick me off? So the first thing I always think of is, okay, what we're going to get into essentially is how I find out about a new band or an old band, and I want to learn this band because I don't know them well enough. So when I get asked that question, I don't know. I don't know what's in your head. I don't know what your personality is. Most bands go through quite a few different phases, especially if they got 10 or 20 albums out, right? So I don't know which one to pick for you. There's the insipid answer that a lot of people actually do to slowly get into a band, and that's the greatest hits album. Pretty bizarre. I've never been that kind of person. So what am I supposed to recommend the best album? So everything is downhill from there. And I've tricked you. I've put that band's best foot forward. And now all of a sudden, every other album is worse than that. Do I do the an outlier? Do I do the latest? In a lot of cases with our heritage bands, the latest album is kind of like a goes to the gym best version of their classic period. So what you're getting there is a safe album that's absolutely perfect. I don't know how old you are. That's going to make a big difference as well. There's definitely the situation where you can't really recommend a super old album by a band to an 18 or 20 or 25-year-old metalhead, because the further you go back in time, there's actually a sensible amount of raised expectations in terms of that young person finding that old stuff essentially dated and old and weird and not particularly greatly produced, maybe even short, because it's a short album. It's back to the vinyl days. So that's a big thing too. Like Judas Priest is a perfect example. If a 20-year-old budding metal fan wants to get into Priest, say you don't want to scare the person away from that band, right? Or turn them off of that band. You're not going to pick Screaming for Vengeance. You're going to pick one of the latest ones, right? Invincible Shield may as well, right? To get production that they're attuned to, the length of songs, the length of the albums, just the heaviness. These records are much heavier than those older records. Or let's just say generally, not within their context, because the further you go back, this that whole argument about AC/DC as a heavy metal band in 1980 kind of thing, right? So that's the first part of this answer is, I don't really want to answer that question for you, but if I'm to provide guidance, right? Here's what I tend to do. Now this is kind of interesting. So coming to me and asking that is kind of my first step with other people as well. And by that I mean, you are coming to someone that maybe you respect their opinion. You tend to think that we like the same kind of music. Martin likes this album, so it's probably pretty good, that kind of thing, right? So I feel that way with a lot of the people right here on the Contrarians. When my first step, really, for a band I knew nothing about and didn't come to the idea, I got to explore those guys more on my own. I will listen to Marco or Grant. I'll listen to Jamie or Peter Kerr or Mike Ladano. Or, if they recommend something to me and say, "Oh, this is really good," and they make a good case for it, I respect their opinions because they're deep music guys, right? So the idea there is that might be the first start, thing that kicks us off. There's another good example. Tim Derling, right? So Tim's Night Ranger book. This is look how thick this thing is. I mean, this thing is an invaluable guide. He's got a big panel. He's doing one of these panel books like I do all the time as well. He's got a big panel going through every single Night Ranger album, and you can learn a lot about, Night Rangers is a band that I actually do want to learn more about. I'm in and out of this band's career throughout my whole life, kind of thing, or throughout their whole life. Put it that way. I think they started in '82 or something like that, right? But yeah, so the whole panel book situation, and Tim just in general is a super deep music guy, and he's a good guy to learn from. So yeah, this is his new Night Ranger. He's got a Kansas book, Y&T, Sammy Hagar. He's doing lots of books, so check him out. But So okay, so the corollary of the panel book, my next step. Okay, so someone just turns me on to it, right? My next step is I will absolutely go to Wikipedia first. So I will go to Wikipedia because I know where everything is. I know where the discography section is. I can see. I know where the date when an album came out is. I know who produced it. I can see the track listing. Now, this is important because you got to go to Wikipedia first for a lot of bands, because what happens is if you go to Spotify with just a band name, first of all, you just get all the new crap to start with. Say it's an old band, right? So if you go top to bottom on any old band, you're going to get the single, the greatest hits album, the live album, the other live album, the next live album, the next live album. It's going to go down and down and down, and then of course you're going to get the newest album eventually, right? You can't just sort of sort through it. So if you want to find out where to start listening on Spotify or on YouTube, you got to go to Wikipedia first to sort of see. With a lot of these bands, say you've got a really generic band name, what helps at Spotify in the search is if you've got band name and song title. So if you pick a song title from the album you want to start with, right? And I'll get to that in a second. You're going to have a much easier time of finding it on Spotify because there it is. It's going to bring up the song. It's going to pick the album and blah, blah, blah. So okay, so another answer. Another answer to this: what album should I start with? My main answer to that, if I literally was forced to pick one, I would tend to say the first album, right? Because what you want to do is you want to just logically in order see this band's development, kind of thing. Now, I'm not saying that go out and buy the first album like old school, and that's how you start, and then buy the second one, and then buy the next one, kind of thing. I'm saying if you want to go do a quick survey of a band and learn about this band really quickly, so you go to Wikipedia. You read a little bit about the band. You see their success levels, right? Their charts. You see kind of the range of when they happened. If they've got like sometimes if the discography's small and they're not that famous a band, you'll just see a list of the albums. Other ones you'll see a list of the albums, and then you'll see Def Leppard discography, right? So you click on that. That's the one that will have all your gold and platinums and the dates and all that. So you see the whole thing in order, and you see where the swell of success is, where they get big, where they get small again, all that kind of thing. You see how prolific they are. Okay, so at that point, what I tend to want to do is okay, so I may go directly to Spotify or YouTube if it's a super rare band and they're not going to be on Spotify, or the business stuff screwed up and they're not on Spotify or whatever. You might have to go to YouTube, and then you just type in the band name and the album, and then put full album, right? And sometimes, most conveniently, it'll give you all 38 minutes of that new album right there in one chunk. Other times it's going to be song, and then you got to click to the next song and next song. You don't know if they're in order, blah, blah, blah. But so that's a way to get to the music to check out right away. It's like I don't really believe in this going out and buying something right away to check out a new band. You may as well just quickly sample them this way. What album should I start with? Here's my answer, but this is more like how do I, if you want to hear my opinion of how I learn about new music. So the other thing I do is, while I'm like just quickly sampling that album, and like I say, often starting at the start, so I will start at the start if I've got some time and I want to learn and go through it. But the other thing I might do is I might go to the start of the golden period, and you can quickly tell what the golden period is. Maybe you just kind of instinctively know. But if you don't instinctively know, another thing that I like to do is go to ranking lists of these bands. And generally speaking, you get ranking lists where there's a short review. And again, you go to someone you respect, like a bigger magazine or a bigger website or whatever, or the website of that magazine. But it's nice when you've got those paragraph reviews, and you quickly see, in reverse order, 10 through 1, what their top albums are. And it usually confirms what you maybe already knew anyways. What I tend to like to do then is, okay, let's skip the first couple of albums. Let's start at album 3, the start of that golden period, and do that. Because I personally want to see a little bit of a storyline building as I'm checking these bands out, kind of thing. So that's what I tend to do. Sometimes I will go to the latest album. That's always kind of interesting as well to see. Say it's a newer band and I have zero history with that band. You may as well just dive right in and see what the best version of them is, the most evolved version, and that's often the latest album, kind of thing. So that's what I do. So yeah, I just feel like, and all this can be done in a matter of 10 minutes, kind of thing, with a lot of bands. You can learn a lot about these bands, and while you're listening on Spotify, just if you are giving this your undivided attention while you're listening on Spotify, just go back to Wikipedia and just keep reading about that particular album or whatever, right? See who produced it. See the story of the album cover. See if there's any stories about the writing of the songs there. What is the lead single? Oh, okay, so here's the single, and you can tell that, of course, by the Spotify numbers as well. They tell you right next to every song what the biggest songs on these are, and that even gives you other information like how big is this band, period, right? If the plays of all the songs on there are really low, you're listening to a band that is not that super famous, kind of thing. So yeah, it's a combination of flipping back and forth and reading the reverse rankings of this band's album thing, while also reading Wikipedia, while also having it play on Spotify and just touching down, sampling it, boom, 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 10 seconds of this song, 10 seconds of that song, kind of thing. If you're just trying to figure out the identity of the band, and just doing it that way. So yeah, and again, generally speaking, my actual answer to that album, what album should I start with if I had to pick one? It's always going to be the first one, because you just want to do that story kind of going forward, kind of thing. So there you go. That answers the question that I get asked all the time, kind of thing. Let us know what you think in the comments. What your method for finding out about new bands, who you go to for that. Obviously you can go to full on books by bands, magazines, reviews of the albums, just reviewers that you respect. You can go and read full on reviews. I mean, that's another thing I do. If I'm getting deep into it, I will go to an actual full review, find a long review of that album and do it that way as well. But there you go. We've got a Ko-Fi, we've got merch, all that stuff. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. You can go to martinpopoff.com for all my books, kind of thing. This is funny. I just got this in yesterday. It's the Spanish version of my new Guns N' Roses book. I'm not selling this, but I am selling the English version of it. And as I'm doing this, it's July 18th. It's slow right now. July is my slowest month. So if you order the Guns N' Roses book from me between, say, July, this probably won't be up until tomorrow, but say between July 19th and the end of July, I'll assume that you saw this clip. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw in a free mystery book, and I will sign them both and send them out to you. So you'll get two books besides the Guns N' Roses you ordered with the PayPal button over at my site, martinpopoff.com. And check out my audio podcast as well, History in 5 Songs with Martin Popoff. So there you go. What album should I start with? Here's my answer.